Good afternoon. This is Jim Muchler bringing you number 70, Art Donovan. This afternoon, August the 3rd, Artie Donovan gets installed in Pro Football's Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Artie Donovan, 12 years in the National Football League, 5 years on the NFL Pro Bowl teams, 4 years an All-Pro with the Baltimore Colts. Artie, a graduate of Boston College, an ex-Marine, a tremendous competitor, a real All-Pro, both as a football player and as a person. It should be a very interesting afternoon. Arthur, congratulations on your installation this afternoon.
Thank you, Jimmy. You only say that because you like me so much.
I don't know why you would say that. What are some of the things, Artie, as we look back on those years, your years in professional football, something that might come to mind as being one of the real highlights or the outstanding things that happened to you?
Well, I don't know, Jim. It's hard to say. I guess the highlight of any professional football player's career is to play on a championship team. But I'd have to say overall, of all the years that we played together, and we had some great times together, I think it was just the idea of playing professional football and meeting and playing with so many great guys.
And one of those great guys, I believe, is on your right there, isn't he?
My friend, the great BBI, yeah.
This
Artie,
is
I'd like
Bill
to-
Pellington, we might say, so our viewers will know who it is. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jimmy. And Artie, I'd like to congratulate you on this installation of the Hall of Fame, and just very happy that I had the opportunity to play with you and be a friend of yours.
Thank you, Willie. Well, I'll tell you, we made a lot of great things. We've done a lot of great things along the way. And of course, we had Gino Marchetti on the left of me, and Bill was always playing either on the left or in the middle of us. And we had some great afternoons out there together. Of course, for 12 years that Gino and I played alongside of each other, we never had more than 2 words to say on the field. If I got blocked, Gino would never say anything. If he got blocked, I would never say anything.
Something was usually said, though, in the defensive huddles.
But it was always Pellington. What happened?
Well, we had a lot of fun. Let's put it that way. You know, we had a lot of fun, and I think what Artie said, and I know we were talking just prior to this show, Jimmy, about how much fun it is playing professional football. And I know the boys are fighting for pensions and so forth right now, but and the minimum wage salary. But I know we'd go back and play again tomorrow for just what we signed for originally. I think, knowing all of us the way I do.
I think we'd go back and play just for the fun of it.
I think you may be right. It was a great thing going to training camp, wasn't it?
I know we're talking about the defensive huddle. I think one of the most enlightening things that ever happened to me when I walked on the field the first time in a Baltimore Colt defensive huddle. And
well, that's it. It was like a Chinese fire drill. But as they say, the offense, there was no noise in there at all. Of course, I never knew because I never played on the offense, and I don't think Bill did either. But Dick Szymanski, who was really a great offensive center, they changed him over to the defense, to the middle guard. I asked him after the game, well, what do you think? He says, well, I never heard anything like this in all my life. He says, you guys are all crazy.
I think you have to be to play defense a little bit. You know, you have to a little kind of gung-ho, like the Marine Corps, right?
Well, I guess so.
I think it's a completely different attitude, the defense and the offense. It's a real, your thoughts in your mind, I think, are just completely different.
Reverse thinking, completely.
That's right. Stop the other guy. We're going to be back and talk more to Artie Donovan and Bill Pellington after this message. We're back again now with Art Donovan, who's being inducted into the Hall of Fame this afternoon, and a great linebacker for the Baltimore Colts, Mr. Bill Pellington. Artie, looking back on these past years, what do you think as far as the Colts teams, what team do you think was really the best team of the Baltimore Colts?
Well, Jim, I think maybe you'd start way back when Eubanks first came here, and we had I think the nucleus of a pretty good football team. We had maybe 15 fellas that were really bona fide pro football players, even more. And from 54 through 56, I think everybody knew that we may be champs one of these days. And from 57, I think we should have won it hands down. We did win it in 58 and 59. I think we should have come back again in 60. I think maybe the 59 football team was about the greatest team ever assembled on a football team. I can only talk for myself. As we had 6 defensive linemen, and there was Marchetti, Bracey, and Joyce, and there was Gene Lipscomb, Ray Krause, and myself a tackle. And nobody wanted to ever get hurt because if you gave the other guy a chance to play, well, you may never get in there again. And I think that competition that we had was so fierce and so tremendous.
Somebody here.
Oh, it's the Ick. How you doing?
we thought we'd bring
Mark, hey, how you doing, Mark? Thanks. All right. Hey, Bugs.
Gino.
How are you?
Welcome, fellas.
This is
Pretty good. How you doing?
quite a surprise.
Have a seat,
He's
gentlemen.
nice and light now. He can fit in the chair.
I just mentioned your name, and then you walk in.
We heard you.
It sounded like a cue. Oh, we were talking about the. Go ahead, Gino.
Nope. I was just going to say they take up the whole couch.
It reminds me of Frank Leahy. One time came back after scouting Tulane. He said they only played a 5-man line because they couldn't get any more of them across the field at once.
Well, Joyce is one of the guys,
That's
wasn't he?
right, John Joyce and Jerry Helliwood. So nice to have you gentlemen with us.
Thank you, James. Nice to be here, honoring the big old man.
Thank you, thank you. I really don't feel too old. 44 isn't too bad, huh?
40 what?
44, that's my true age.
You know, Artie, you're still lying. After all these years, right?
I asked him how much he weighed. He said 280.
That's his right side.
That's the only thing I don't have to worry about scales anymore. That was, I always said that we'd rather have a good weigh-in on a Friday than win the ball game on Sunday.
I know we were talking, Gino, talking about the, I guess it was in the Coliseum in 1959, wasn't it, Artie, when you were talking about the game being over after we'd won the ball game, and Frank Ryan, the quarterback for the Rams?
Yeah. Well, it was a hot day. It was about 105 degrees, and Bugs even remembers it better than I do, Brace, because, well, he was playing right end, and Gino was playing. That's when the one guy on the team wouldn't go in to take your place.
You know, when Artie isn't in the huddle, you really miss him.
Yeah, so...
I couldn't find him. I thought he was hurt. I looked on the ground. He wasn't there. And finally, I looked over right there in the middle of the Ram huddle is Artie. You know, and he's pleading with this fellow. It's Frank Ryan, who's a rookie quarterback. He says, keep the ball on the ground. Don't throw it, you know. And they're telling him, get back over there, you big fat so-and-so.
I said, if you guys, if the game doesn't end in another half a minute, I'm going to die of a heart attack. He says, I hope you die right now. And that was it.
That was a hot day, Artie.
That's why I couldn't make it back to the huddle.
Yeah.
Never went over there when Younger and Towler were there.
Oh, no. I told Deacon Dan one time I was going to blow his church up.
Oh, my. Artie, I know I've heard many times you tell a story about when you went back to the Bronx and somebody asked you what you've been doing.
Yeah, well, it was after, I guess, the second championship game. And I went up after the game the next week. I went up for some reason. I guess it was to see my mother and father. That was a pretty good reason. And I hadn't seen this man. I was walking down where I always stood as a kid in front of the candy store. I hadn't seen this man in about maybe 15 years. And he owned a house alongside of where I was born. And I figured he knew all about me playing with the Colts and playing on the championship team. And I walked down as he got close to me. I said, Mr. Sherman, how are you? And I went to shake hands with him. And he looked at me and said, well, you big bum, are you out of work again? So he didn't even know I played.
It was Allie Sherman.
Hey, Gino, how about the time we met that Arnie Weinmeister? We played the Giants' exhibition game.
Artie, I'll never forget that.
Huh? You were standing with me, weren't you?
I was what?
You're standing alongside of me?
Yeah, you were sitting, I was standing, and we just played the Giants that day, and Denny had his usual good day. So the Giants had a tackle that time. He was all pro, Arnie Weinmeister, right? So we're sitting there, and the Giants come in, so Arnie Weinmeister walks by, and he sees Artie. He says, oh, Artie, how you doing? He says, hey, what are you doing in town? we had just played him that night.
We played him that night as well. I said to Gino, this guy's kidding me. Gino said, I don't think so.
I tell you what, it really hurt your feelings, you gotta admit that. Because when he walked away, he said, boy, that guy is really a bum.
What were you doing in town, Artie?
Hey, you, I don't know where you were that night.
Grammar school.
I tell a story about Artie. You know, we played next to each other for, I guess, 10 years, and I think one of his most embarrassing moments, I know, next to me was, I think, we played the Pro Bowl that year. And the East had the ball. It was like 3rd and 1. And they had a tackle that I don't think Artie ever got along too well, a kid by the name of Snyder. Wasn't his Snyder? He used to lay down like a mule and kick all the time, right? He was terrible. He used to give Dunny a fit anyway with his kicking. So it was 3rd and 1, so the quarterback comes up. I even forget it was quarterback, so they come off tackle, right? I held my ground, and the first thing I know, I hit us. Oops! I look around, they got Dunny on his shoulder, and taking him 5 yards back.
5,
right?
it was about 10. I was so
Well, Dunny, I didn't want to embarrass you. I didn't want to embarrass you. Okay, be honest about it, was 15 yards, right? So they took him back, you know, and they come back up the line of scrimmage, and Dunny's coming back with his usual good language. So I told those guys, I said, hey, I dare you guys to do that again. Dunny said, Gino, shut up. You want to get me killed?
Embarrassing moments. In fact, they took me back so far, I was just trying to fall backwards off them.
They wouldn't let you fall.
No.
It is tough when you can't fall down.
like the time when Gino got appendicitis, and they sent Mutchler in to play left defensive end. It was in '54, right?
54.
So he gets in the defensive huddle. He never played there before. He said, "What do I do?" I said, "Well, run as fast as you can to the sidelines and make him try to cut back."
And he did.
Cut back.
I used to get to the passer when they were going to have a draw play or a screen. I always got some of those. Oh.
Good old days.
Can you tell us something about your time with Y.A. Tittle here in Baltimore, Arthur?
Well, not too much. Remember Tittle? He was only here. Well, I was only here 1 year with him in '50, and he invited us all over to his house for chicken dinner, but we had to bring the chicken. Pretty tight guy, boy. Somebody told me he was tighter than a clam with lockjaw. He still has his recess pennies.
We're going to talk some more to our guests this afternoon. Of course, John Unitas, Gino Marchetti, Cordell Bracey, Bill Pellington, and our honored guest this afternoon, Mr. Artie Donovan. We'll be back in a moment to talk to all of these gentlemen. We're here again with our guests this afternoon. Of course, our honored guest, Artie Donovan. And Artie, I was just thinking about something. It seemed to me that was it 1952 when Jimmy Phelan coached the New York Yankees? You were the Yankees, and what was the game?
No, it was '52. It was the Dallas Texans.
Dallas, that's right.
That's when Gino joined us. He was the #1 draft choice. And this guy Jimmy Phelan, well, you had to know him. I mean, he was really a great guy. He didn't know too much about football. Football had passed him by when they got rid of the single wing. But we were playing. We were so bad that the team folded up, and we went on the road for the last 5 games. And we're going to play the Bears a league game in Akron, Ohio, I think it was. Wasn't it, Gino?
Yes.
And that morning they had a high school Thanksgiving Day game there. They had something like 30,000 people. And when we were out practicing before we played the Bears, they must have had about 2,000 people in the stands. So when we came in after warming up, Jimmy Phelan, he gives us this old Notre Dame pep talk like Newt Rockney. And then he says, and furthermore, he says, we're going to dispense with the customary introduction, and we're going to go up and meet the fans individually in the stands. And then we won the ball game. It's the only game we won, and then we came back to Baltimore.
Phelan's a coach, you know, I never forget, you know, like when you're a ball player, remember how he cut the squad? Where everybody's dressing, you know, and usually, you know, when they're going to cut a ball player, they call him in the office and talk to him. So that day, they were cutting, we had 8 guys, remember? Phelan comes in there, and everybody's dressing. So he goes like this, right? You out. You out. They cut them all like that, and Chubby Griggs was trying to hide from him. He's a big 350 pounds trying to hide behind a little pot stove, right? He must have did all right. He had.
What was his name? Klosterman. He was the general manager now of the Houston team. He was a big shot, hot shot quarterback, and his mother had just sent him all his clothes. And when Jimmy says, I cut you, he says, you can't do that. I just got all my clothes in California. He says, I already had. That's all. He kept on walking.
He says, who says I can't? Kid, you're gone. Klosterman says, I never forget. He says, you didn't give me a chance, coach. And next day, one of the few films we ever watched, right, there's Klosterman holding an extra point kick, right? He fumbled. He fumbled an extra point. He was holding it. And Phelan says, who said I never gave that kid a chance?
Hey, Artie, I bet one of the things you miss the most is getting all the rookies under that goalpost and talking to them. Huh?
Yeah, well, you know, that's all I could do. I had to save myself for that. I had to take my mind off running that one lap.
One thing that always impressed me the most, because I was there almost every year, and those stories changed from year to year. You know?
I used to forget them. I mean,
Did
just
you?
to talk.
Yeah.
The greatest thing, I guess, in the world, and I should have really taken a training film, was the way about 8 of us used to do the calisthenics in the morning. We used to fight to try to get under the tree on the one side of the field.
That was reserved for the quarterback so they could loosen up their arm.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. And that's right. You used to be over there by us all the time, Johnny, seeing, and Big Daddy be there making all kinds of noises, and Ray Krause, poor Ray had some kind of asthma anyhow. And then he'd say, all right, boys, and he'd be saying, come on, let's go. And he'd walk by us and say, good work, man. And he'd clap, you know. He never bothered us. Good work.
You're the best con artist I've ever seen anyway.
Who are you?
Artie was good in the grass drill, up
He
and
was
down.
great.
They used to bring Schuler and Gaucho. Carl Tassif had to show us how to do the tackling. And then you imagine picking up like somebody picking up Big Daddy or Sherman Plunkett. Why, my God, you'd kill yourself before you got him halfway up. Big boy gained 19 pounds. What, was it 4 days one time?
Overnight.
He wasn't eating anything either. Told me.
He didn't eat a drink.
About that Kool-Aid, though.
We were talking before the show, Bill. You were telling us a little story about some of your negotiations with Mr. Kellett. Do you care to tell us about
Well,
that?
I thought it would be terrific in the days now. We, asking for a minimum wage salary and so forth. And I thought of all my years in pro football, and it was 10 years before I ever got to where the minimum wage was. and I talking about some of my stories with my dealings with Mr. Kellett, and Artie was telling some of his, and we were comparing them. We both feel like, he really snowed us a little bit. But Mr. Kellett and I didn't get along too well when it came time to talk contract.
Artie, didn't he once offer you a blank contract? Told you
Yeah, but he embarrassed. That's why he used to embarrass me all the time. See, he says, you think you're pretty good? I said, well, I don't know. I didn't want to say yes to one. You see, he said, well, here's a blank contract. Fill it out. I says, oh, I can't do that. You see, so he signed me for $7,500. And another time I went in there. It was about 1959. And I said to him, this is what I'm really going to tell him, because he and I were great friends, I said, Mr. Kellett, this is what I want. I'm not going to sign for anything less. And he said to me, he looked at me, he says, Arthur, he said, how could you do this? He says, if I sign you for that, he says, I'd lose my job. I says, okay, forget about it. Give me what
I never heard that story. I never heard that story.
It was 1956, and I used to go up every afternoon before we go out and practice, and Spassoff used to tickle my feet. He called it some kind of a massage, you see, and he'd get me all ready for the afternoon practice. And at that time, we were all established stars, and I'm laying on the training table, and this guy over alongside me, and I'm like, who the hell's this guy here? You see? He's got a pad on his shoulder. He's a quarterback. And he's got bursitis. I said, what's that kid's name? The guy said, well, that's a kid Unitas they got from Pittsburgh. I said, he's never going to make it with bursitis. Oh, you remember that, John?
United says bursitis.
So the Spassoff says, I made him. And he pulled you around.
That's right. He got rid of the bursitis for me. Gave me something else.
He's Spassoff, what they gave Oriental massage.
Yeah. One night, it was in '57, and we went to Chicago, and I was really sick. And he got me up to the room. He says, in his broken English, he says, Arthur, he says, I'm going to make you better. And Spinney was my roommate. So he gets me in the tub, and he gets the water as hard as I can stand it. And this is Saturday night, and I'm in the tub, and I'm sweating. He says, okay, now jump out of the tub. And I jump out of the tub. He says, all right, run in the room. So I run in the hotel room. He says, lay down on the floor, and he's got a blanket on the floor. He says, just lay down there. And he starts running up and down my back. And Spinney says, you crazy, Spassoff? He says, I'm giving him a Oriental massage. so this is the truth. The next day, also, he gave me a half a pint of something, to make me sweat. And he said, and Spinney says, you guys are nuts. And honest to God, I asked Spassoff, he says, the best game I think I ever played. And he takes credit for it. He ran up and down my back 3 o'clock in the morning with an Oriental massage.
Well, gentlemen, I think we're kind of running out of time. Does anybody have any last comment or story they'd like to make?
I just want to hope that Artie don't get stood up right next to Fats Henry.
Artie, one thing about this afternoon being installed, I think Alex Wojciechowicz is also being installed,
Yeah,
right?
that's funny. And when I was a kid growing up, he was my idol. Of all the football players in college, he was a center with Fordham at the time. He's an All-American. Of course, I was just in grammar school, and he was my idol as far as a football player was concerned. And here, it's ironic that he and I should be going into the Hall of Fame together. I would like to say one thing and say it very seriously, that I really wouldn't be getting this honor today, and I'm not saying it because I'm modest. I'm not modest. I really wouldn't be getting it unless I had the opportunity to play alongside of the greatest defensive end that ever played football, Gino Marchetti. A fella came along that is now one of the best in the business. I can never get his first name right, Odell Bracy. And my friend here, BBI's, who was a guy that didn't get much publicity, but I guarantee you, one of the finest linebackers in the business. And the other guys that our Lord has called up, Ray Krause, who was really a great guy, as we all know, and a great football player, and Eugene beat Daddy Liscombe, and Don Joyce, and just all the guys. And I just want to thank you fellas personally for getting me where I am today. Thank you.
You know, Bill deserves a lot of credit. He's the guy that lines you up in the right spot.
That's
most of
right.
the
There's
time.
only one defense I know is a 4-3.
Way behind him, too.
There wasn't much difference.
The only thing was always a 4-3, and Gino was never in the huddle. And then and Bill would always be screaming at Gino, and Gino would say to me, "What is it, Fatso? 4-3." And that's all we ever played.
I think we're running out of time, Arthur. We
All right,
certainly
Jim.
want to thank you and congratulate you for your honor. And Bill, thank you very much for
My
being
pleasure
with
to
us
be
this
here,
afternoon.
Jim.
Ordell, thank you. Gino Marchetti
My
for
pleasure.
coming down from Philadelphia, and John
Pleasure,
Unitas.
Jimmy.
Thank you very much, all of you.
I
Arthur,
got to say one thing. I forgot you, one of my closest friends.
congratulations,
Thank you.
Arthur. Ladies and gentlemen, that ends our program. I hope you enjoyed it.
Hey, it's Jamie Costello. If you just enjoyed this episode of The Vault, you can check out more episodes by clicking on this box down here. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that circle, and that'll subscribe you to WMAR 2 News for great content every single day.